As anti-racism protests continue into a second week in the U.S. and here in Canada, there is a growing demand for answers about the death of Regis Kraczynski-Paquette, a Toronto woman who fell from her balcony while police were in her apartment. Author and teacher Beverly Bain has spent the past 35 years exploring how Black women in Canada are policed, and she's our guest this morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Beverly, what have you learned in your studies?
Regarding policing and policing relationship with women, is that what you're asking?
Women, correct, yes.
What has become very clear for us throughout the years that we've been doing this work is that police do not serve women's communities, particularly Black women, particularly racialized and Indigenous women. What we're seeing with Regis Kraczynski-Paquette is that police was called to her home because she was in crisis. And the next thing we were told is that she fell to her death. Normally, in situations where Black women and racialized women are in situations of crisis and police are involved, Black women, racialized and Indigenous women usually end up either being abused by the police or end up dying while in police presence. So in this case, there is suspicion. I'm certain that we will not know exactly what happened to Regis because we will not be given the facts of the case. There was no cameras, no one to say what actually happened. And the only report that we will be getting is that from the police. So again, because of our experience and knowing fully well that police has managed to deflect and not necessarily be held accountable in cases like this, we're not very hopeful as to what the outcome is.
And the investigation, as you mentioned, is ongoing into that case right now. Beverly, in your opinion, what action needs to happen for Black women and other marginalized women to gain more trust in the policing system as it exists right now?
I don't think that's a possibility. I don't think it's a possibility to trust police. I do think, police should be defunded and the money that police are funded with go back into the communities, go back into services to take care of women's needs. Women do not go to the police first. Most women, Black and racialized and Indigenous women, do not call the police and will not call the police in times of crisis because the experience that they have with police are usually experiences that are violent, that jeopardize them even further, that are racist, that are often sexist. And in most cases, women would rather go to women's services or be supported by other kinds of women's services rather than the police in situations like this.
Beverly, I want to pick up on that point. We've had a number of conversations this week about this idea of defunding police as a way forward. What would that look like? Where would the funds go and where would they be used in the best way to alleviate what you're talking about?
Well, but let's look at what's happening in terms of Black communities. I mean, the issue of defunding the police is now a conversation in the U.S. We've seen that the councillor in Minnesota has called for the shutting down of the Minneapolis police forces. We're hearing conversations taking place across the U.S. that police should be defunded and the money should go back into, go into communities to create sustainable communities for Black and racialized people and those who are most marginalized. We have started this conversation. This conversation has been happening here in Canada, where we are saying that the police in Toronto has $1 billion budget, and they're also asking for an increase. We are saying, where is that money going, and how is that servicing us? In fact, what we are experiencing is more violence that women are experiencing at the hands of the police, more violence in Black communities are experiencing at the hands of police, more violence and negligence from the police with regards to LGBT and trans communities. So we are saying, why continue to fund a police force that is actually, systemically violent towards these communities?
I want to thank you for joining us here on Your Morning Today. Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.